Hey, what's up guys? So today we're going to be talking about a bunch of Diablo 4 leaks and basically a bunch of things having more weight to this original post by Gorelight. So we're going to be talking about a lot of different leaks in here. We're going to be talking about the different classes and as well as the Diablo 2 remake slash remaster, as well as potentially the release window of the beta as well as the actual full game. Now let's go ahead and jump right into it. But first off, do want to say, because it is a leak, keep in mind that things are subject to be faked. However, this guy has a lot of credibility because he was correct several months ago on so many different aspects of the game that people did not believe. Like if you were to tell me that there was like a hub world where there was going to be potentially 100 players joining in for this giant boss fight, I would not have believed it either. So I understand that for a bunch of the people that didn't believe him originally, but now there's so many things that have more weight. So first off, I want to go ahead and go into the classes. So first off, we already know of the three classes, the Barbarian, the Druid, as well as the Sorceress, but we don't know of the other two classes in the game, and that's what we're going to go ahead and jump right into. So first off, I will link everything down below if you guys want to read the full thing, but I'm going to go ahead and basically give you guys like the faster version of it. So basically, here's what he had to say. The Paladin, Barbarian, Sorcerer, Amazon, and Druid are planned for launch with more coming later. Blizzard wants people to feel like this is Diablo 2 all over again, but in a completely new era of the franchise. Blizzard were also debating whether to include the Druid or Necromancer class at launch of Diablo 4. Blizzard decided to put the Druid for launch of Diablo 4 and the Necromancer for later, since the Necromancer was released already for Diablo 3. And that does kind of make some sense because they are technically both classes that can summon. A lot of people were also talking about the Witch Doctor because this image did surface. Now this image is technically an official image, so this image right here is not a leak, but it does show off a bunch of the different items in Diablo 4. Now looking at the top left, we also do technically see that there are two shields. Now that rounded shield is actually a shield that Fallen do use in Diablo 4 from the BlizzCon gameplay, so I do want to mention that as a heads up that that was something that was already technically shown off that was on an enemy, not an actual class. But if we go down below the shields, we can see that there's a dagger and like this dead bird that has some type of purple aura. I would have thought that that would be like the Witch Doctor or Necromancer, because if we go back to Diablo 2, the Necromancer was, I want to say, the only class that really utilized the dagger, unless you're kind of like some Wizard Spike or Gold Dagger Barbarian for Magic Find. But pretty much the art assets next to that purple like aura with that bird, it definitely looks like some type of caster, especially with like the dagger, and it looks like to be some type of phylactery or some type of offhand with the red eye. And then to the right of that, you also technically see that there is a ranged weapon for what looks like to be some type of physical damage. Now going into this, there was argument on another forum that was arguing about the Amazon or Demon Hunter, which one would be in the game, and someone did bring up kind of a good point that technically the Amazon was not in Diablo 3 because it wouldn't really make sense to have like a male Amazon, right? Now the Amazon technically did use a spear and a javelin, in addition to having the bow and crossbow. And I'm not sure if this image over here right next to what looks like to be a lightning staff is a type of a pole arm or if it's actually like a spear or a javelin. I'm not sure exactly what that item is. However, we do happen to have these class options where we can go ahead and select how the character looks. Now again, people are arguing it has to be Demon Hunter over Amazon due to having a male Amazon wouldn't fit the lore correct. But then there was also people bringing up this issue, which is that as far as the Barbarian lore goes, it wouldn't make sense to have that type of a skin tone like a Zulu warrior in those northern areas in the game. So I don't know. I'm just going to go ahead and present that information because I thought it was kind of interesting, but I think that at the end of the day, that might not be the most importance to the game necessarily as much as just being able to select a class like Amazon. Just have the ability to select if you want to play a male or female character. But you guys can sound off in the comment section below on what you guys think some of these items are going to be for, because again, this is an official image for Diablo. Now, going into the next thing that I actually want to discuss in the video actually has to do with the Diablo 2 remake slash remaster, because there was someone else that leaked that there was going to be an unveiling or a mentioning of Diablo 2 remake slash remaster. And here's what this guy had to say about that. Diablo 2 remake slash remaster was planned, but they later realized that it would be much better to give the franchise a complete reset and put majority of the fans' requests into one giant package. And for me, that's a huge disappointment, but I thought that this was developed by another team, and they technically did mention that there was multiple games in the Diablo world at work, And so I guess at that point we're just looking at the Diablo 4 as well as the Diablo mobile game, Diablo Immortal. I want to say if they're saying that there's multiple games, I would assume it's going to be maybe 3 or more. But again, I thought this was made by a completely different team. And the reason why I want to give this guy Gorelight, which is posting all these things, a bunch of credit, he came out and said that the demo was like 20 to 30 minutes. He mentioned that the Druid was back and they can shapeshift. He mentioned so many things that are correct that I want to believe him. At least at the moment that he was given this information, I believe him 100% because he was just so correct on so many other strange things like the hub world. And also he was correct on the no loading times, which is a very strange thing to mention in a leak, right? But going further into this, things that might be making a return, this is what he had to say. He said, Blizzard are happy with many systems and improvements they've made over the course of Diablo 3 Reaper of Souls, such as the Kunai Cube, wardrobe loadouts, seasonal journeys, rifts, and greater rifts, and so on. So for some of you guys that were asking about the Kunai Cube, they did mention crafting, but they didn't dig deep into it. So I think the Kunai Cube was a really cool addition. I would love to see that have a return, but also I would like to see some type of form of return to the Herodric Cube, or they can make a completely new one and it basically combines both of them. But either way, I think that that was a really cool thing to have, as well as like the wardrobe. That's more so quality of life. And then as far as rifts, greater rifts, I mean, that's basically the key system, which we did cover. If you guys haven't seen that, I'll link it down below, where it basically shows off a bunch of the end game content in Diablo, as well as like the gear progression towards the end game. Now, this is where it gets interesting, because this is where it kind of goes away from a lot of stuff that we have been told. So this is as far as release. He says release is being debated between late 2020 or early 2021, depending on how things go. But as of now, it seems like early 2021 is more likely. Will be coming to PC, PlayStation 5, and Project Scarlet. So I'm interested to see if it's not going to be on PlayStation 4. I want to say that more than likely they'll have it on both PS5 as well as PS4 and whatever they call the next Xbox or Stadia or whatever the cases may be with those other platforms that this game will be on. Because as far as we know, they mentioned several different times it's not even close to being done, not even Blizzard ready, right? Which means a lot of people were saying 5 to 10 years, and I was like, that's way too far. A lot of people were debating on like 2 to 3 years, and this one is saying it's even earlier. I mean, if we look at the gameplay and what they technically showed off, they had a bunch of the worlds kind of, what I would say, looking good enough to the point where I want to say it looks a lot closer to being ready than 5 years. I really don't think 5 years is going to be the date for it. But if we also take a look at, you know, since it is Activision Blizzard here, and it's, I mean, have you seen the launch of Modern Warfare? That game came out way before it was ready to be launched, which does technically cause some issues. I hope this game comes out with no errors as soon as the game launches. But at the same time, I feel like the turnaround for game development is a lot faster, and I'm curious to know if the game is going to be coming out earlier than a lot of people will think. As far as the beta goes, I mean, if they said, you know, they said he mentioned. Beta, he mentioned over here, let me go ahead and highlight this. Right now, the goal is to get the game ready and playable demo for BlizzCon 2019. Of course, all the marketing material as well. After that, it will be preparing for the beta in 2020 and the release. So I would not be surprised if we got a beta in 2020, honestly. And then after that, if the beta comes out in 2020, I think 2021 would be a 2021 or 2022 would be a very realistic release date. I don't see this game taking 5 to 10 years, but you know, we never know with Blizzard. Sometimes you know, they do scrap projects that are very far in development, like Titan, but then those turn out to be other things. But you guys can let me know your thoughts down below on any of the leaks that we talked about. But I also want to mention, since I am mentioning the beta here, there was technically a sign up, and I will be pinning that down below. For this is on the official site. You do have to sign in with your Blizzard account, so it makes me want to think this is some type of relation to some type of beta or some type of other announcement. I don't know what yet, but there's not really that much information on it. It's basically just sign up. But anyways, that's the information that we have as far as all of the leaks. And again, I'll pin everything down below in case any of you guys do want to go ahead and check it out just for credibility, as well as the source, because again, he was correct on so many things. I'm following this guy. I'm waiting to see what else comes out as far as other classes and other things. But I'm also curious to know what you guys want to see the most as far as the classes go in the game. I would really love to see the return of Assassin, but keep in mind, guys, they 100% mentioned that there will be expansions for this game, so that's probably where we're going to be getting some of the characters. So don't be disappointed if the Necromancer or, let's say, the Crusader or anything doesn't come out immediately. Maybe later down the line it will be released in that expansion. But anyways, guys, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. If you guys are new to the channel, want to keep up to date with Diablo and other gaming stuff, we also technically need to still make, don't worry, for those of you guys that followed me from Median XL, Diablo 2 mod, I will be covering that. I know that they had the season reset recently. And then also, we're looking to Diablo 3's new season, which is starting up relatively soon, I want to say, because PTR ended not too long ago. But I will be covering that as well. So if you guys want to see more Diablo as well as other gaming content, hit subscribe, turn on that bell, and you'll definitely see more. But thanks for tuning in. We'd love to know your thoughts down below on any things we talked about. Thanks for watching. I'm signing out. Peace.